Texas. Just the name carries weight, doesn't it? Wide skies, blood orange sunsets, dust settling on old boots, towns built from bone and oil. This is a place where stories don't just fade. They hang on, like heat in July. But for all the songs and cowboy myths, Texas holds something older, something quieter. Ghosts don't ride the wind here. They linger in the lobbies of luxury, on forgotten back roads, and inside buildings where pain made a home. This episode, we follow three tales, not just of hauntings, but of memories carved so deep into the land they never left. First, we visit Austin's most haunted hotel, where velvet drapes hide a grieved child in a room that weeps in silence. Then, we roll down a stretch of Highway 281, where a woman still waits for a ride that never comes. And finally, we descend into the husks of Yorktown Memorial Hospital, where healing was promised, but horror took root. These stories aren't just meant to scare you, they're meant to remind you of the weight sorrow leaves behind. So, dim the lights and put on your best cowboy boots. I'm Drifter Voyages, and this is the 50th Room Podcast. The Driscoll Hotel. She rises out of Austin's music-soaked streets like a monument to another time. Built in 1886 by Jesse Driscoll, cattle baron, entrepreneur, man of extravagance, he envisioned a place of luxury unmatched in the South. And he got it. Mosaic floors, marble staircases, vaulted ceilings, you can picture it, where every whisper seems to echo for forever. They call my name. Sadly, Jesse's fortune didn't last. Within a year, he lost everything. Some say the land was cursed, others that the building remembered his downfall. The Driscoll became a beacon for governors, for musicians, and for something else, something that walks quieter than footsteps. There's a spirit that supposedly haunts the Driscoll Hotel, and she simply goes by the name Samantha. Samantha, a little girl no older than 4, she was the daughter of a senator staying with her family during the winter. She liked to bounce her red ball on the grand staircases again and again. Until one day, it bounced too far. She followed it, missed a step, and the marble met her like stone. Sadly, she died instantly. But guests still hear the ball to this day, still hear the laughter, still feel the cold air when they cross the stairwell at night. A man once followed the sound, thinking a child had wandered out, but the hallway was empty, except for a red ball slowly rolling towards his feet. There's a room, 525, that holds something else entirely. In 1992, a woman checked in, alone, sad, a Houston socialite, fresh from a heartbreak. The room's thick drapes muffled her cries. When staff found her, the silence was suffocating. Since then, the room changed. Guests report water running on its own, lights flickering, pressure on their chests in the night, the weight of sorrow pressing them into the mattress. One of the housekeepers, only name stated was Maria, said she worked there for 26 years. "I don't go in the room alone," she stated. "Sometimes I hear her breathing, soft, like she's trying not to cry." The Driscoll doesn't just trap spirits, it traps feelings, joy, loss, terror. It's all layered into the velvet, baked into the carpet. If you ever check in, don't go quiet when you hear someone laughing. And if a red ball starts to roll towards your feet, you might just want to let it roll past you.
Hear the whispers, soft as a moan. Come closer now, the still voice pleads.
Now some ghosts, like Samantha in the last story, stay where they died. Others move, hitch rides, linger on the long stretches of highway that go through our great states. Paranormal researchers call them liminal spirits, entities drawn to thresholds, like doorways, stairwells, and roads. And nothing stretches thinner than an old Texas highway.
Through the pines it moans, so cold, so slight.
Highway 281, it cuts through Texas like a vein, hot and endless. By day, it's all open pastures and pickup trucks. But at night, the roads seem to narrow, and around Blanco, something waits. They simply call her the woman in white, and she's always there. Mile marker 124, just off the shoulder. Hair down, dress torn, and a suitcase in hand. She doesn't move, doesn't speak, just stares. The tale dates back to the 70s. A newlywed returning from a bus trip to visit family. Her car broke down, and she decided to walk the last few miles home. But sadly, she never made it.
Grave, they never sleep. A love long buried, a vow to keep.
A trucker must have hit something that night, thought it was an animal, and never stopped. Weeks later, they found her body in a ditch, possessions strewn across the weeds. Some say she doesn't know she's dead. Others say she does, and she's trying to get home. I've read stories from long-haul drivers. One stated, "She was standing there. I pulled over, she got in, but she didn't say a word, just pointed forward. We hit a stretch of road under the stars, and when I looked back over at her after a while, she was gone. I decided to drive to the address," she whispered, "an old house. The woman who answered broke down in tears, and she told me, 'That's my daughter. She died on that road long ago.'"
Feel the weight of your own misdeeds.
Some say if you try to speak to her, she weeps. Others say she's silent the whole ride. One man claims she gripped his wrist when he slowed down too early. "She knew I was trying to ditch her," he said. "Her fingers were cold, almost like metal." If you drive 281 at night and see a woman standing on the shoulder, maybe you should just keep going. Or don't. But if she's already in your car, there's no turning back.
I hear a voice on the crumbled stones. A whisper.
Some places weren't made for healing. They were built to hide pain. Yorktown Memorial Hospital promised salvation, and instead, it became a house of silence and a house of suffering.
With shadows lurking where cypress.
Built in the 1950s by the Felician sisters, Yorktown Memorial Hospital was meant to offer hope, especially for those struggling with addiction. But more than 2,000 people died there. Some were addicts, others were inmates, and some were just forgotten.
Whispers from the grave, they never sleep.
The hospital closed in the late 80s, but what stayed behind, that's harder to explain. A former nurse, speaking anonymously, described unlicensed procedures, drug patients locked away, people who died too quietly. In the surgical suite, bloodstains never washed clean. The walls seemed to absorb everything.
Swallowed whole near the weather too.
A paranormal investigator once stated about a first-hand experience that she had. We were in the ICU, and I felt hands around my throat. Tight, cold, and I couldn't breathe. My friends saw the bruises forming as we ran. Others have experienced Latin murmurs, see shadowed nuns pacing hallways, or feel gurneys roll by behind them when there's nothing there. One priest tried to bless the building after hearing about dark spirits that roamed the abandoned halls. But when he tried to do so, the crucifix shattered in his hands. They tried sealing the doors, boarding the windows, but some places breathe. Yorktown Memorial isn't haunted. It's alive, and it's waiting.
I hear a voice on the crumbled stones.
And there you have it. 3 places, 3 shadows cast across Texas. A hotel where sorrow wears velvet. A highway where grief walks endlessly. And a hospital where mercy was buried under the concrete. These aren't just ghost stories. They're echoes, imprints, grief that settled in and made a home. If tonight's tales stirred something in you, share this episode. Leave a review, it helps more than you know. And please share with us any encounters you've had in the great state of Texas. We love reading your stories. The dead, they still talk. And here, we listen. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and remember, some places aren't haunted because people died there. They're haunted because the pain never left.